Hi everyone, this is Miss Stewart. I'm sorry I can't be there with you today, but this is the next best thing. So I want to show you how to use some of the type settings in Photoshop to help you create a type-based logo design. When you're working as a designer and trying to create a visual symbol for a logo that's all made out of type, sometimes you run into problems if you're just using the font tool, trying to make everything line up perfectly. So what Photoshop and Illustrator and all those programs have are these character settings that allow you to adjust the space in between the letters and the space between lines of type so that you can create a perfectly aligned type-based logo. So this is a pretty common technique, and the settings are really handy for you to be able to know if you're going to be working in this way. So your goal today is essentially to imitate this logo, but using your name. So first, middle, and last name, maybe some initials, but we want it all to be perfectly lined up just like this one and still readable. Remember that logos are something that need to be functional as well as beautiful. Okay, so you're going to go into Photoshop, go into File, New, and let's make, this is a great size, 8 by 8 inch square piece of paper and leave it at 300 dpi. If your rulers are not turned on, go up to View and just check this Rulers tab because we need to have some guides in order to create this so it lines up. So remember, click and hold. You'll pull out these guides. They're not a part of the permanent image, just there to help you. And drop guides at the 1 and the 7. And the 1 and 7, both horizontally and vertically. Tap the New Layer button, and we're just going to type. You can use any color, just make sure it's something dark so that you can read it. And then use the Type tool. For this case, you could use separate layers, and that would be handy, but so that you really get a strong understanding of these adjustments, which can be tricky, we're going to do it all in one text box. Okay, so tap once. You can pick a font that you like. I'll just leave it at whatever that is. And then you're going to type your name. It goes off the paper a little bit. Okay, so I just hit enter in between the lines of type. Then next, you're going to go up to Window and go down to Character. So this character box is where all of the settings live. And they have these little icons that are basically little cheat sheets for you to tell you what these settings will do. The most helpful of the settings are this top one, which is the leading. So that's the space between here and between here. This tracking adjustment, which is the space in between. You can see here that the tracking is off a little because the letters have such big gaps between them. They need some braces. And then right here, the height and the horizontal width of the letters themselves. So this is sort of like a way of making a custom font size, which is really handy. Okay, so a little pre-planning will help you on this so you sort of know where you're going. I know just by looking at this, because this is such a short piece of text and this is so long, that I'm going to need to make this Ms. much bigger than the rest of the text. So I'm going to go ahead and use the font size to start with that, just to give myself a little boost. Move this so that I can see it. And go back, highlight this text. The first thing I need to do is smush these together so that I can see both letters in my frame. So the smushing of the space is this tracking adjustment. If I have this part highlighted and this part highlighted, I can just use the arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm using the down arrow here to make that setting a little bit lower and bring that S back into view. Okay, make it just little tiny bit smaller. And when you're using your arrow keys, sometimes it will kind of skip an increment. So you sometimes need to stop and type in the custom size, but I think this looks good to start. Okay. Then next, I'm going to bring, this actually lines up pretty well too. But I would like this Sarah to be a little closer to that Ms. So I'm going to use my leading adjustment and make it just a little smaller so that Sarah comes up close to the Ms. And my first name is less important in this logo. I really don't need it to be quite as prominent, because typically when you talk you say Ms. Stewart. So, so I want Stewart to be prominent in this as well. I'm going to make that bold. Yeah, looks better with the MS. Okay, so highlight this text. Again, I have this kind of awkward tracking down here, so I'll move that in a little bit. Oops. Let's see how far I can push it. Oop. That's a little bit much. I'll try stretching out my letters a little bit, make them taller. I just don't want to get it so tall that it looks like it's distorted. Okay, maybe the bold doesn't look good. Okay. So looking at this, it's pretty much as big as I can get it without it looking looking awkward. But I'm still not quite happy with how this Sarah looks. So I'm going to go back, make these letters a little wider, maybe. Adjust this, bring them in. And then I'll take another look. Maybe this setting needs to come down a little bit more. Until I have all of the text lined up. So it's not entirely perfect, but it's pretty close. When I look at this, it has nice strong shape. It fits inside that square, and I can read all of the text. Okay, so when you've reached that point where you're happy with it, some people add little symbols in through there, or change the colors of the backgrounds to them. They do kind of interesting things with it. When you're done with that, you'll just take a screenshot. That's Command-Shift-4, and upload your logo to Schoology. Can't wait to see them when I get back. Have a good day, everybody.